Welcome to Lesson 4.9, all about state government. In today's lesson, we're going to learn about the executive branch of state government, and we're going to go through each of the main executive officers in Missouri state government. Now, to start with, in Missouri, we have a governor, as do all 50 states. The qualifications for the governor are listed there, and there are the terms and the limits on the terms as well. There are specific powers that our governor has that are a little different from what the President of the United States has. For example, the Missouri governor has something called a line item veto, and that's basically the same as a veto, which the President has, but in this case, the Missouri governor can literally line out specific parts of a law that he doesn't like. So he could disapprove of just one piece of a part of a legislation. The U.S. President does not have that power. There's a couple other things on that list that are pretty straightforward: submitting the state budget, enforcing laws, commander of the militia, pardons. They can also appoint state officials and judges, pretty similar to what we've had before, and also the governor can call the legislature in for a special session. So for example, if the General Assembly isn't meeting and the governor believes something has come up that they need to address, he can call them all together for a specific purpose. The second position that we'll talk about is the lieutenant governor, and this is a little bit like the vice president, but it is important to know that in Missouri, the lieutenant governor and the governor don't run as a ticket like they do in the U.S. elections. So you could have a lieutenant governor who's a Republican and a governor who's a Democrat. The qualifications are the same as the governor, but there are no term limits on the terms, and you're going to see that throughout some of these. There's a few changes related to the terms limits, so be careful with those. The duties of the lieutenant governor are pretty limited. He's the tiebreaker in the state senate, and he's the successor to the governor. So there isn't a whole lot that our lieutenant governor does on a day-to-day basis. Next up is our Secretary of State. This is an elected position, which is unlike the U.S. Secretary of State, which is a cabinet position appointed by the President. In Missouri, the Secretary of State is a separate, independent executive officer. The job of the Secretary of State is to keep the state's laws, records, elections records, corporations records, all kinds of things. You can actually use the Secretary of State's website to look up information about who owns a corporation. You can look up polling place information and other election information on the website. So it's an important and useful job. We also have an elected Attorney General, so unlike the U.S. Attorney General, who is in charge of the Justice Department, it's a cabinet position. At the state level, we elect our Attorney General separately. So again, you have a little bit of different information about terms and limits. The job of the Attorney General in Missouri is to represent the state in all legal affairs. So if the state's getting sued, or if we are suing someone, if we're filing an amicus brief in the Supreme Court, all that kind of stuff. The State Attorney General also provides legal advice to all the different parts of the state government. Next up is our state treasurer, again, an independent position. So at the national level, we have a treasury secretary. At the state level, we elect our treasurer. Same qualifications as the governor and the same terms and limits as the governor, so it's changing it up a little bit for you. The duties of the treasurer are to maintain the state's accounts, basically to pay the bills and collect the taxes. Important thing that the treasurer does for you is they actually maintain uncollected property or unclaimed property, and you can go on their website and look up to see if maybe there's a little bit of money owed to you or to your parents on that website. So that would only be in the case of maybe if you didn't cash your tax return on time, or if there was a particular lawsuit where maybe you were owed a little bit of money. The state will hold on to that money for you, and they have to keep it for you if they know your name for a certain amount of time. So check out on that website, see if you're owed any money. The last elected officer of our state government is the auditor. The auditor has the same qualifications as the governor, no term limits though, so unlike the governor there. The duties of the auditor are pretty important. It's the person who investigates state agencies and local governments and all these little governments that we have to make sure that they're operating within the law and not wasting taxpayer dollars. So if a school district is not bidding out properly for all of its different projects, maybe it's getting only one roofer who continually does all the roofs, and they're maybe doing some kickbacks or some shenanigans, it's the job of the auditor to find that out and to reveal that to the public. A lot of people often say that the auditor job is actually the stepping stone to the governor because it's a public job and you're the public face of protecting the taxpayers. So that's all of our elected officers in state government. Hopefully you've taken good notes, and we'll see you next time.